Welcome to the Houston Freethinkers coverage of the Bradley Manning verdict. Today is July 30th, 2013. We're live in the Freethinker House. We've got a little bit of a show lined up for you today. We're about to talk with activist Danny Panzella from New York City. We're going to be talking with John Bush. Also, we're waiting on Debra Sweet of the World Can't Wait Foundation. They deal with government torture, crimes of government, and she's been in Fort Meade, Maryland the entire time at the Bradley Manning trial. So she's going to be giving us a report straight up of what happened this morning in the trial, how Bradley reacted to hearing the verdict. If you haven't heard yet, Bradley Manning has been found not guilty on the charge of aiding the enemy, which is the most serious charge, but of course he's still found guilty on 19 other charges. He's facing a possibility of 136 years, so the rest of his life, in military prison, and we're here today just to talk a little bit about it, talk with some activists and get some ideas on what this means for America today and really the world in general, and a live update. So we're going to go now with Danny Panzella. We got Danny. Yo, how you doing, Danny?
I'm doing good, guys. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, we appreciate you taking some time. We know you're out there with your boy eating some ice cream. So what's your reaction today, man? You heard the verdict, obviously.
Well, I think that obviously this verdict is a travesty. It is absolutely disgusting, although unfortunately it's not really a surprise. I think that if the American people accept this verdict as it is, and we do not make our voices heard in support of Bradley Manning and in support of Edward Snowden and in support of Julian Assange, or Julian Assange isn't really a whistleblower per se, but if we don't start supporting whistleblowers, this is just going to continue to get worse and worse. I mean, for Bradley Manning to expose government corruption and be sentenced to 165 years, well, I know he hasn't been sentenced yet, but he's facing a sentence of could possibly be 165 years, is absolutely disgusting. That the government can just lie to us on a daily basis, and it's called national security, but if a U.S. citizen exposes corruption, they're sent to jail for 165 years. It's absolutely disgusting.
Well, what do you think this is going to do for the activist community and for the media in general? Some people are speculating that this is going to send a shockwave through media, and also to where whistleblowers will be less likely to speak out when they have information like this.
Sure, why would a whistleblower speak out and expose corruption when he's going to get punished with life in prison and the system isn't going to change anyway? Of course it's going to send a chilling effect, and that's exactly what they knew it was going to do, and that's the very reason why they're doing it. And unfortunately, the American people are asleep for the most part, and the people that are aware of the Bradley Manning trial and the Edward Snowden situation, many of them buy the line that we need to do this for national security. The government is allowed to have all this power and tap everyone with the NSA, and it's necessary for national security because brown people in caves want to kill us. So, honestly, it's very frustrating, and I don't know. I'm kind of dumbstruck. I really didn't. I'm not surprised, but I guess at the same time, I guess there's always that little bit of hope that maybe we're going to make some progress, and push them back a little bit. I mean, it's great that they didn't convict him on the charge of aiding the enemy. That was a flimsy charge to begin with.
Yeah.
But, I think that we just need to continue with individual activism, reaching out to people in love on a basis, and waking people up on an individual basis, and getting people to opt out of the system. If we continue to do that, at some point in the future, we will hit a critical mass where the system will collapse because it can't be sustained.
Definitely, Danny. I mean, I want to get your opinion. What do you think about the power of the media? Just let's take a second to really sit back and awe the power of the media over the past month and a half since the Bradley Manning trial has been going on. Most people have been focused on another trial. The Trayvon Martin Zimmerman trial completely took away the media spotlight from what was going on with Bradley Manning, and now the verdict is just coming out. And most people in the mainstream weren't even aware the trial was taking place.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, our media is completely, it's corporate controlled. There's no such thing as a media. There is simply a elite propaganda machine They did not cover the Bradley Manning trial because they simply didn't want to. There's no reason to, because they don't want us to know what's going on. They don't want us to know that they're sending someone to jail for the rest of his life for telling the truth. They just want us to be focused on other nonsense like Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman. I mean, I shouldn't say that's nonsense, but this was clearly a case of self-defense. But that's another discussion. So.
Well, obviously the case has relevance and it does have importance, but I think it's just important to see that this trial's been taking place the whole time, and the media really chose to focus instead on George Zimmerman instead of what this means for us, our society as a free society, supposedly.
Well, I think that the media wanted to focus on the Zimmerman trial because it's a good way that they can make a case for gun control and push that agenda. There was really no way that they could use the Bradley Manning trial to push any kind of establishment agenda, because it's such gross misjustice that someone who is exposing crimes committed by the government would be convicted. It's flimsy at best. Even people that believe that we need, that we need national security, know that it's wrong. They know it's wrong. They'll say, yeah, it's wrong, but we kind of have to do it to stay safe. So they couldn't really push an agenda with coverage of that trial.
And before I let you go, Danny, we've got Adam Kokesh in a cage, we've got Bradley Manning in a cage, we've got tons of other activist political prisoners, people like Edward Snowden basically having to give up their entire lives to try to spread truth in this crazy mixed up world. What are people to do? What solutions do you have for those who are listening and who are really trying to continue to seek truth in this in the face of this empire?
Well, I think that I would say don't be discouraged. Continue to fight for what's right. Live free or die, because for us to live as slaves is no life at all. So continue to do what you're doing, and I think that not everybody has to get up and do what Snowden did or do what Adam Kokesh is doing. That's not everyone's destiny. Your destiny, everyone's destiny, is to reach out on an individual basis to the people in their circles and to try and spread the message of love and liberty, so that we can all change our lives internally. And once we start to change ourselves, change our hearts and our focus, then the world will start to change around us. I mean, Gandhi said that when he said, be the change you want to see in the world. Yeah. So I think if we just focus on that, then the world will start to change for the better around us. And I don't want anybody to be intimidated, because, they can't, the worst they can do is take your life.
For sure, man. They can't stop us. They can't stop the idea. It's time for us to make real change. So I appreciate you talking with us today, Danny. Let everybody know where they can find more of your work at.
All right, you can check me out at DannyPanzella.com. You can see pretty much all the projects I'm working on.
All right, man. Thank you. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks for having me on, guys.
Take it easy. That is Danny Panzella. You can find him, as he said, DannyPanzella.com, TruthSquad.tv, Peaceful Streets Project in New York. He's also working on a documentary dealing with cannabis and trying to see if cannabis can cure cancer. So Danny's a really cool guy, working hard out there, and value his opinion and his ideas there. Now I wanted to just go a little bit into actually what has Bradley Manning been on trial for. The trial started back in June, and he was originally arrested in July 2010. Bradley Manning was arrested after a hacker basically snitched on him and told him that Bradley Manning had discussed having released documents and videos to WikiLeaks, and this includes over 500,000 Army reports that were known as the Iraq and the Afghan war logs, the diplomatic cables, and also we're going to take a quick look at this video here. This is one of the big pieces of what Bradley Manning is accused of, and he has admitted to releasing this video, the video that became known as Collateral Murder, showing the military firing on unarmed civilians, including a Reuters journalist. And it's a pretty disturbing video. It's of course not really surprising, but Bradley Manning said that he wanted to get this video out and this information so people would know what's really going on in war. And what we've seen with the trial is basically they're trying to paint him as this anti-American guy who was out for fame and notoriety, that he didn't really care about the people. They're just trying to make him look bad. And on the other side, of course, they're saying he was a bit naive, but a good-hearted guy who got in over his head and wanted to expose what was going on. So this is Collateral Murder that Bradley Manning released.
There's more that keep walking by, and one of them has a weapon. Roger, received, Carter. Okay. 208. See all those people standing down there? Stand by. Roger. Stay firm. And open the courtyard. Yeah, Roger. I just estimated there's about 20 of them. There's one. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Correction, Vanderbilt Ford Route 236. I don't know if that's... Neighborhood Men's Element, copy at White 6. That's a weapon. Yeah. Hotel 26, Crazy Horse 18. We'll call for change by Charlie Mike Bravo. Speed 37. I'm Red White 6, Bushmaster 6, Romeo. Roger. Fucking break. Hotel 26, Crazy Horse 18. Have individuals with weapons. 14 radio. Rio Banners 14. Yep, he's got a weapon too. Hotel 26, Crazy Horse 18, have 5 to 6 individuals with AK-47s. Request permission to engage.
Roger that. We have no personnel east of our position, so you are free to engage over.
Alright, we'll be engaging. Roger, go ahead. I can't get them now because they're behind that building.
Any Bushman's element?
We got an RPG. Alright, we got a guy with an RPG. How about a fire? Okay, hold on. Let's come around behind buildings right now from our point of view. Yeah, we're going to come around and get them from our buildings. Get all RPG. Getting ready to fire. We won't. Yeah, we got a guy shooting. Now he's behind the building. God damn it. Speed coming around.
Negative. He was right in front of the Brad. About there 1 o'clock. Haven't seen anything since then.
Just fucking, once you get on, just open off.
Yeah, Roger. I see your element. You got about 4 Humvees out along this.
You're clear. All right, firing.
Line here. What's the phase line?
Let me know when you get it. We'll shoot. Light them all up.
202 traffic, 260s.
Come on, fire.
Hey, Roger.
Keep shooting. Keep shooting.
Bushmaster 26. We need to move time now.
Alright, we just engaged all 8 individuals. Yeah, we got 2, we're still firing. Roger. Got him.
6 is a 2-6. We'll move, but we got 13.
Oh, fuck, sorry. Well, I was done.
Bypass?
God damn it, Kyle. Alright. I hit him by head. Alright, you're clear. Alright, I'm just trying to find targets again.
Bushmaster 6, this is Bushmaster 26.
Got a bunch of bodies laying there. Alright, we got about 8 individuals. Yeah, we got one guy crawling around down there, but you know, we definitely got some. We're shooting some more. Roger. Hey, you shoot, I'll talk. Hotel 26, Crazy Horse 18.
Crazy Horse 18, this is Hotel 26, over.
Roger, currently engaging approximately 8 individuals, KIA, RPGs, and AK-47s.
Hotel 26, you need to move to that location once Crazy Horse is done and get pictures, over.
Part of the video there with Bradley Manning, and as I said, you can see them, the Reuters journalist, I guess his name is Namir, they're walking with the camera. The soldiers in the helicopter are openly firing, calling them bastards. I mean, I guess it's really just kind of what you expect with war, right? They say war is a dangerous game, and I guess that's what goes along with this is what fighting for your freedom is all about, is killing the bastards and making sure that we go back and fire on the bodies and things like that. And the unfortunate thing about war is that this is a normal activity. I have had contact with friends and family who've had to do things that they now are living, you know, with a lot of guilt in relation to Libya, to Iraq, Afghanistan, and even through the Freethinkers. About a year and a half ago, we interviewed a man who used to work for the United Nations who was living in Libya when we began attacking there and dropping drone bombs, and how he lost his whole family. So war is an atrocious thing, and we all know that, but this is where our tax dollars are going, and this is one of the reasons why Bradley Manning wanted to get the word out about these issues so people understand how the reality of war works. And, you know, I've been following this trial and this whole story since the very beginning because I think it's really sad to see when you take a moment and really step in this person's shoes to think that they've given up their entire life to try to find some kind of justice, some kind of truth, and maybe some would say it's in vain. Some people think Bradley Manning's a traitor, some think Edward Snowden's a traitor, some think Adam Kokesh is crazy. And, you know, maybe they are. Maybe it's crazy to think that people should have freedom and should have truth and should know what's taking place in their name. Maybe it's crazy to think that in this world it's still possible to find peace and to not have to live your life knowing that your money, your taxes are going to bomb innocent people in other countries, and you know, you get pushed to a certain point and you have to do something about it. Some people choose to march in the streets, some people choose to leak documents, and I have respect for everyone who chooses to do that, and especially the sacrifice they make for all of us, so to speak. But again, they say that Bradley Manning is just after notoriety and after fame, and who knows. Either way, what I will say is what we should take note of. This is why you don't sign contracts with the state. That was Bradley Manning's first mistake. You know, I feel bad for the situation that he's in, and like I said, I appreciate his work. But this is a perfect example of why the entity known as the state, the government, is not an entity that you want to do business with. This creation, this monstrosity, steals from you, it murders, it kills. You know, people talk about the power of corporations and how corporations are nameless. The state is nameless, and together the corporations and the state are one giant entity that has become the military-industrial complex, whatever you want to call them. They're all one giant complex of control and fear and war and money and all these things that really don't work against. They don't work for what the individual would like and what the collective even seems to want. So the first step is to stop working with the state, because if you do business with liars and murderers and thieves, then you're going to get burned. You know, if you wouldn't accept these activities and these actions in your normal life, if your friends were robbing you, your friends were lying to you and stealing from you, you'd stop hanging around them, you'd beat the crap out of them, you'd do something, you'd defend yourself. But whenever it comes in the form of the name of the government or the corporations, we accept it and we act defenseless and we allow things like this to happen. So Bradley Manning, thank you for your actions and for your work, and we're going to continue to bring awareness to the topic and continue to shine a light on whatever does happen to you, wherever you end up at, and try to find some justice. There's going to be actions taking place all around the country, I do know, continuing to raise awareness about Bradley Manning. And here in just a second, we're going to be talking to Debra Sweet. She's the director of the World Can't Wait Foundation, which is, they deal specifically with government torture and government crimes. They started around the Bush era. As we all know, the Bush administration, guilty of many war crimes, much like the Obama administration, much like the Clinton administration, and if we really look at it closely and go all the way back, probably every single administration. No president's hands are clean. But we're going to talk to her in just a second. Did you get her on Skype?
I found Debra Sweet.
Debra.Sweet. She said give her a few minutes, so we're going to have her on in just a second. If you feel like sharing this link and letting other people know, please do. She's going to be live here on Skype, and she's in Fort Meade, right outside the courtroom. She was there in the trial. She's been there the whole time, following the case closely, and so we're going to get a direct report from her about how Bradley reacted, what the judge exactly said, and all those important details. Is she on already?
No.
No? Okay, cool. In just a few moments, so... Cool. So I'm glad we're getting to do this. I appreciate everybody who's tuned in. If you're watching this, this is, we haven't really done this before using live stream, and we're also recording this video. We'll put it on YouTube, and thanks to Danny. We're probably going to talk with John Bush here in just a few, and also Derrick Freeman, who may be ready to talk right now. Derrick J. Freeman, some of you know. Let me see if he's ready.
Send him a request, see if he responds.
On Skype? Okay. So, I think it's just important to take note of what's happening here, because likely we're going to see a similar situation with Edward Snowden and any other whistleblower who chooses to come out, or any other activist who chooses to stand up too fast or move too quickly. And some would say this is just the slow march of the state towards what will inevitably happen, which is going to be some 1984 style control, where every facet, every aspect of your life is controlled by the state and by this collective, and where the individual is crushed and no longer exists. You could say we're already there. I don't know if we fully, completely made it, but we're headed in that direction. And the only solutions that I've come across as an activist and pursuing an understanding of the world from a somewhat spiritual, philosophical standpoint, trying to be principled and trying to better myself internally, is that we have to focus on us as individuals, and then focus on our local areas, our communities, our cities, however small you want to go. And as Danny said, that change, once we start to change ourselves and really deal with the things that are creating this, because in my opinion, the Matrix is a reflection of ourselves. So things like tyrannical governments that are going to take away Bradley Manning and Edward Snowden and all these people, they're hiding from the truth. They're afraid to know the truth. So in some way, I would argue that we're afraid to know our own truth, to know ourselves. So we're running and we're hiding. And the sooner that we each stop that and start to work on ourselves, and to localize and to get more involved with our diets, with our food production, with our minds, with ourselves, and with our communities, then these changes do happen. It takes the power away from the state. The state is this huge entity, but they have no power over you. I mean, that's what the big funny thing about it is. Like, we spend a lot of time and energy talking about this machine, and right now this machine is showing and exerting their force. They definitely will use their army when they want to. They say Adam Kokesh is dangerous. They say Bradley Manning is a traitor. They say that Edward Snowden is a traitor. And they can use the power of the guns. They have the guns in the room, and they believe in force, and so they use them against you to hold you and to imprison you. But and on another level, the state is completely powerless. You yourself decide how free you are every single day. And in our lives, we work to be involved in growing our own food. We work to be involved in the community. We work to limit the need for police in our community, to find ways to deal with each other. And these are just, agorist ideas. This is just what we're doing in Houston. And this is not necessarily going to work for whoever you may be listening to, and maybe I'm kind of getting off the point, but to me the whole thing is all connected. Bradley Manning, community, working on yourself, these things are all interrelated. They're interconnected, they're interrelated, and we are also interconnected. So the sooner we recognize that, then these things will start to get better, and people like Bradley Manning won't have to worry about being locked up for speaking the truth. Truth is treason in the empire of lies, and today is a very good proof of that. You got anybody yet?
Mm-hmm.
We're waiting on Derrick J. Freeman and Debra Sweet of The World Can't Wait.
John Bush is online.
You send him a message, say, hey, you ready? We'll see if John Bush of the Liberty Beat. If you have not heard of the Liberty Beat, check it out, thelibertybeat.com. It's a website's your source for activist updates and liberty news, and I help write there. And John Bush, well-known activist in Austin, Texas, heads that up and played in Austin on FM radio, getting the news out to people. So John is someone whose opinion we value around here, and we're interested to hear what he has to say about this whole situation, as well as Derrick J. Freeman and definitely Debra Sweet, who we will have in just a few moments once she is plugged in. Let me let her know. You sent them a request already?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And yeah. So, moral of the story, don't work with the state. Work with your community, work with yourself. Because it's pretty crazy out there. It's pretty crazy out there to try to come forward. And if you've been following what we do with the Houston Freethinkers, we even had the help of a whistleblower locally. Some HPD whistleblower, so to speak, gave us documents and emails showing that our group has been monitored or the subject of certain training sessions held by the Houston Police Department. And those revelations are obviously of a different level than Bradley Manning's revelations, but it's whistleblowers all around. And that's what we need. Is we need to have these checks and balances, so to speak. This understanding that, hey, the government wants to create a program of snitches so they know that if your neighbor thinks you're crazy, or you're collecting too many guns, or you got too much food, or you're talking crazy conspiracy theories, or you're talking about freedom and wanting to, get the government out of your life, that they can go say something. Because if you see something, say something. And if you see something good, then say something about that too. Because we're creating the world that we want. So let's focus on how we can better this situation. Bradley Manning. There's a courtroom sketch from earlier today of the judge. Bradley Manning, obviously. This is intense. I mean, this is definitely going to set a precedent, and not to get off on too much of a conspiracy tangent or whatever, but to me the whole case against Bradley Manning was bullshit, because one of the main things that the ways they were trying to get the aiding the enemy charge against Bradley Manning was saying that he directly knew, that Osama bin Laden had directly requested his files from, WikiLeaks. So Bradley Manning, indirectly fed the information to the most wanted man on the planet. But that was supposed to take place around 2006 or 7, I think they said. And if you've seen some of our articles and some of our reports before, it's a pretty common belief, I would say, around here that Osama bin Laden had been dead for quite some time already. That was reported in 2001. And a number of years, you can find information about that on the HoustonFreethinkers.com. I don't want to spend too much time on that, but if you know your research and you see through the mainstream media lies, then you can see the way that they're trying to feed you more BS by saying, Osama bin Laden, who was already dead, and he's just a big boogeyman that they push around to perpetuate this war on terror, this global war on terror, which is really just a war on freedom. So you gotta be using your thinking cap and looking for those things. Okay, and if you are tuning in, we want to ask you, if you don't mind, go ahead and check out the HoustonFreethinkers.com. We appreciate you guys tuning in. If you are new to the Houston Freethinkers, thank you even more for tuning in. But check out our website. We've just upgraded. We've got a lot of news there. We're going to constantly have it upgraded with news. We do independent newscasts and all types of video reports, so check it out. So I'm here with Cody. What's up, Cody?
Hey, everybody.
What do you think, Cody? What do you think about this?
I think today is a pivotal time in the way that we see the courts within this system that's failing, how they're going to start clinching for power, how they're going to keep grabbing as we the people start becoming more community-based. I think that's going to be the key, to see how afraid they're going to be and how much power we really have. I think that's the key.
What we got? Yeah, you're right. This is the power that we have. This is, we're just sitting here in the Freethinker House right now. We're live streaming, broadcasting, recording this, and we're going to put this out to try to raise more awareness. And as you can see, we're in Cody's room, and we appreciate you taking the time to look. And we don't have, a perfect set or whatnot, but this is the power of the internet and of communication. This is information. Information wants to be free, right? And so if we know that information wants to be free, the people want freedom, we have to provide that. And so and others around the world are stepping forward and trying to fill the gap that the mainstream media has left for so long. Because I'm 28 years old, and I know that as long as I've been alive, the mainstream news has been crap. But I do believe that there was a point when it was more in-depth. It was actually investigative journalism. And we see a revival of that with people like Ben Swan, Glenn Greenwald, tons of others, independent media activists, blurring the lines of what it means to be a journalist and going out there and asking hard questions. And that's what it's going to take. It's going to take more of us to stand up and to keep speaking out. And, maybe we're beating a dead horse, but it's time for us to ask questions, to demand freedom, and to recognize that those who do go down and get taken from us early, who stand up and speak out and the government chooses to take them away, whether it's Bradley Manning or others yet to come, we have to be there to back them up. We have to show them that for every one that they take, they're only replacing us with, hundreds, thousands more. Tanny, what is it saying?
He's saying it's a red herring because he was still convicted on 20 charges.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's Tanny. You're right. He's definitely. This is not like he wasn't found guilty at all. He's found not guilty of the most serious charge of aiding the enemy, and that's what I was saying about the whole Osama bin Laden thing. Is they said that he specifically knew he was giving documents over to Al Qaeda, but no, there's still 19 or 20 other charges that he's guilty on, and those are gonna keep him in there the rest of his life. So regardless, like, they won't kill him, but he's not gonna get out, and. It's not very, I mean, really, what did we expect? This is a military tribunal. This is a military court. And I was really thinking about that. We were talking about this earlier, how it was Bradley Manning's personal choice to, instead of having a jury of his peers, other military men, he chose to let the judge, in this case, Colonel, I can't remember her name, but have just the judge's decision decide what was going to happen in his case. So I guess, if you think about it, maybe he thought it would be easier to convince one person that he wasn't a traitor compared to convincing 5 people that he's not a traitor. But I don't know what the record is of people actually being acquitted in military cases, but I doubt it's very high. I don't really think you probably get out of that, especially in Bradley Manning's case. Let's link out. Let's make sure that people hear exactly what's happening, because as I'm sure you know, oftentimes the mainstream media doesn't report everything that's really going on in these trials, and so we're left to get it from CBS News or the mainstream, and they leave out bits and pieces, or they leave out whole stories altogether. So it's good to have Debra Sweet and her organization out there at the trial itself, so that we can get direct coverage of what's happening. And that's what we need. We need people to be out there for Adam Kokesh's trial. We need people on the street everywhere, and that's the benefit of having the internet and having this network of activists all around the world. And if we really need something done, it doesn't take much to give a call to somebody in another state and to get some action going or to organize. And it really is a beautiful thing to see freedom bringing people together through the internet. It's the power of technology. It's agorism. It's us seeking alternatives. Now we need to focus on alternatives from the mainstream internet and alternatives from Facebook and everything that they're creating. Let's create something better that's more people-powered and community-driven and not about profit and control and all that fun stuff. So yeah, I'm going to send Debra a text and we'll see if she's ready to come on.
Hello.
Hello, Debra. How are you doing?
All right.
Well, thank you for taking some time with
us. Considering the terrible outcome of this verdict, we're going forward, and we expected it, and we were even prepared for worse. We were prepared for guilty on aiding the enemy.
Can you give us a rundown of today of what you experienced in the trial, in the courtroom?
Sure. It was a very, very quick courtroom session, probably about 4 or 5 minutes. It was packed to capacity. There were 100 media at Fort Meade today, which is a lot more than has been regularly covering the case. And we were packed with supporters and inside and outside the courtroom in the overflow area, all awaiting the judge's verdict. And it was very quick. She just read down the charge sheet, and the first charge, the first count was not guilty, and that is the most serious charge that Bradley was facing, aiding the enemy, which carries life in prison. In fact, it could carry the death penalty, although the prosecution was not asking for the death penalty on that case. What he was actually convicted of are everything but aiding the enemy and passing along a video of a U.S. Air Force massacre in Afghanistan. Everything else he was convicted of, 19 counts, including 5 counts of espionage, which are very serious charges. All of this adds up to a possible 136 years in prison. And it's outrageous. Bradley Manning should not be in jail for one more second. And particularly when you look at it up against the war criminals from the Bush regime and those people who led, planned, and legally justified immoral occupations in Iraq and Afghanistan, have gotten promotions, have been out in the world making a lot of money and promoted as heroes, not even investigated for the potential deaths of 1 million people,
That's
particularly
exactly,
in Iraq.
that's exactly right, Deborah. What was Bradley's reaction to hearing the verdict?
Well, you know, of course, we're sitting behind Bradley, so we couldn't see him. And I'm reading tweets from people who were in the media trailer who said that he had a faint smile when he was found not guilty of aiding the enemy. But that he was, you know, he's maintained the same demeanor that he's had for the 2 months of trial, which is eyes forward, very focused, very tense, and, you know, he's under orders to have no interaction, not even eye contact with supporters. So we don't really know, and it's our one method of communicating to him is through his attorney, who takes notes and delivers messages and conveys from the supporters in court every day to Bradley that we really have his back and we're behind him.
Yeah, that's. I'm sure he understands. Go ahead.
I hope that he does understand, and he certainly gets a lot of mail, and there are people all over the world writing to him and supporting him and signing petitions in his favor, and he certainly knows on the days when, well, this is every day, that the prosecutor comes in and tells the judge how many people are in court and how many people are in the overflow trailer. And today we were quite full, which is important for him and the world to know. And we were also interviewed by a lot of mainstream media that has not been at the trial. Outrageously, it has not been treated as the very extremely important political case that it actually is. It is a historically important case.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Deborah.
In terms of,
I want to ask you really quickly, but before we have to let you go, I know you have to leave soon. What does this mean now for supporters of Bradley who have been watching and waiting the entire time and who still are determined to bring awareness to his case and to whistleblowers in general? What's the next step?
Well, there's several more weeks at least of arguments in court over his sentence, and that makes a big difference. If he were to get a minimum of 20-year sentence, that would leave him potentially getting out of prison as a middle-aged person. If he gets many decades of sentence, you know, then it's obvious it's really could effectively be a life sentence anyway. It's really important to, I think, keep comparing Bradley, who should not be in prison, to the people who carried out these war crimes. And that's part of the work we need to do. We have an opening right now where people have heard about Bradley Manning, some for the first time, and we need to talk about that. We, in World Can't Wait, the organization that I'm the director of, have decided we want to spend the month of August really promoting the film, the video of Collateral Murder, which is one of the films from Iraq, the war footage of the U.S. military killing civilians that was he was charged with.
Yeah, we played the clip a little bit earlier.
Okay, good. And World Can't Wait has been making copies of and providing this, footage along with the Iraq War Logs and the Afghan War Diary and other material on DVD for anybody who wants it. So people can go to worldcan'twait.net and get copies of that, and we're urging people to show it this summer, this August, and talk about Bradley.
Well, we'll definitely host a screening in Houston and make sure that more people will get to hear about Bradley's case and show the video of Collateral Murder. Indeed, I wanna give you a chance to just say anything else you want to leave our audience with before we let you go.
Well, I think, I'm glad that you're focused in on this, and people should be paying a great deal of attention to what the government has done to Bradley and what the government has done to deserve what Bradley did, which was to expose U.S. war crimes. That's the real story here. Of course, we care very deeply about Bradley, who's a man of courage and principle and integrity, and we're fighting right now to keep him out of prison for a long period of time. But he did all this to open people's eyes and to start a public conversation. So that's all of our responsibility to make sure all the risks that he took were not in vain, and that we indeed do engage in this conversation about what it is our government is doing around the world.
Okay, and we thank you for that, Deborah. I think that's a good focus to direct it, is that we have war criminals in office right now. We have war criminals who have left office and who are walking the streets and walking the world openly without being challenged. And even sometimes these war criminals such as Henry Kissinger and others, they have warrants out for them and they go openly. They're untouchable, and we need people around the world to recognize that these things are taking place and that they're not heroes, that these are the people who are responsible for the war and for the atrocities that people like Bradley Manning are having to reveal.
Exactly. So free Bradley Manning and stop the crimes of our government is what I would say about it. Thanks for having me on, and let's talk again soon.
All right, Deborah, thank you very much.
Okay,
you have a good
thank
day.
you very much. Okay.
That was Debra Sweet with the World Can't Wait Foundation. She's the director of the World Can't Wait. Check out worldcan'twait.net. And if you heard her, she was saying they're looking to this month, I guess starting Thursday, it's August, looking to get people copies of Collateral Murder, which maybe in just a minute we'll show that clip again. We're going to talk to Derrick J. Freeman in a second, though. And they want to play this clip, in your city, rent a town hall or do something, set up an event about Bradley Manning, show the videos that he got out, and bring some awareness to this. So check out worldcan'twait.net if you can help or contribute to them. That'd be cool. And like she said, they're still doing the sentencing in the case, so that's going to take several weeks before we actually figure out if Bradley Manning will get time that lets him see the light of day again, or if he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison for unveiling basically war crimes. So, is he ready? Yeah, we're going to go with Derrick J. Freeman now. Have you ever seen Victimless Crime Spree? Check that out, victimlesscrimespree.com or .net. Look him up. Cool guy.
We're live.
Derrick J.
Hey.
What's up, man?
Not a whole lot.
Over there. Well, we've got you live right now. We just finished talking with Debra Sweet from the World Can't Wait Foundation. She was actually in Fort Meade in Maryland and just kind of describing the situation of seeing Bradley give a slight smile whenever he saw that he was not guilty of aiding the enemy, but also how basically he's still facing potentially the rest of his life in military prison. I wanted to get your thoughts on this. I know that I've seen you do some reporting and following the case while it's been going along. So, what's your reaction to today's verdict?
Well, I'm delighted that Bradley hasn't been charged with aiding the enemy. I thought that was a shaky charge to begin with, but it means that his sentence will be greatly reduced from life, so that's a good place to start. And then I was disappointed to see that he was found guilty of 19 other charges. Seems like quite a lot, and if we're talking about a sentencing happening within just a matter of days or hours at this point, I'm concerned that those 19 charges won't add up to decades.
Yeah, that's what Debra was just expressing her concern that, if he's lucky, he could maybe get 20 years or so and get out as a middle-aged man, or they can stack decades on him and that will essentially be a life sentence. So, I mean, what do you think, though? I mean, we both know, I know that it's obvious that this this is an issue with the state. For me, that's what I'm seeing. It's basically, earlier I was kind of going off a little bit saying that I think that this is a good example of why you don't sign contracts with the state. Why you don't, Bradley Manning is doing good work. He's trying to expose the crimes of them, but now they basically got him by the balls because he signed a military contract saying that you give up your freedom, you become our little bitch, and he chose to do something heroic and go against that, but he's living out the contract that he signed now.
Right, so clearly Bradley Manning is a good person, but the problem is that he signed up for the military, he signed up to be a part of the state. And that's a real problem, because that means he has to do what they say, or else they're going to punish him.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so, I mean, well, what does this say for the future of whistleblowers, for, I guess, just the state in general? How do you think that this affects where we're moving towards more freedom for the individual? Does this play a part in the bigger scheme of things?
Yeah, and I'm glad you asked about that. I think that Edward Snowden has already taken advantage of the benefits of hindsight from this example. He's already learned from Bradley Manning's example, because Bradley didn't leave the country before he whistle blew. He should have done that because, of course, Bradley is facing nearly life in prison, or he's already been tortured, and Edward Snowden is at least somewhat free.
Yeah, he's trapped right now, but he's trying to find that freedom, and it's a bigger picture as far as our activists and whistleblowers going to continue to come out knowing that they face life in prison, possibly death. We have senators out there calling for Edward Snowden to be killed, to be put to death, calling him a traitor, saying he's an enemy, and these type of things. And this is an overall, I think it plays into the overall picture that those in power, the state, they see truth, they see freedom, they see individuality as the enemy to their collective.
They certainly do. Yeah, that's dangerous to people who are in power when they don't have the consent of the governed, and they know that. They want to conceal the truth. And the people who are the real criminals, of course, are those who killed the Reuters journalists in cold blood without any sort of orders being given to them. They had no excuse. They acted on their own volition, and there's no discussion of them being put in any sort of cages. But Bradley, the one who brought up the fact that they broke the law and really broke a universal moral code of thou shalt not kill, he's the one who's being punished. And I think it should be clear to anyone who views this objectively who the real criminals are.
Yeah, definitely. And that's one point that I was happy to hear Debra continuously make is that Bradley's obviously important. He chose to do this. We need to support him, but we need to look at the people who started these wars and the people who are still in power, who continue these wars and expand them, and recognize that they are war criminals. She was also speaking of using the month of August as a time to hold screenings of the collateral murder video, which is one of the files that Bradley leaked showing the Reuters journalist, as you said, being shot from the helicopter. So she's calling on people around the country to hold screenings of that, hold awareness-raising events on Bradley Manning. What other solutions do you see for those who are recognizing the situation and really just seeing why is this guy being locked up? Why is this guy being held and tortured when all he did was release information? What solutions are there?
Well, for me, the first and only solution is to live free, and the way that I have decided to do that is to join with others who think like I do over in New Hampshire as part of the Free State Project, because I don't see any solution coming from politics, and I don't see any solution coming from waking others up, because there's such a limited amount of people who are even interested in these topics. I feel like we've reached a bit of a saturation. Maybe I'm pessimistic in that view, but I think we're all preaching to the choir, and now we have to focus on what we're going to do as the people who are even interested in being aware. What are we going to do to secure our freedom? Because Edward Snowden was able to strategically look at the mistakes that Bradley made and avoid them. Wouldn't it be great if we could all concentrate our efforts on living free in the same geographic location? I think that would really give the state a run for its money.
Definitely. Well, I appreciate you taking some time to talk to us, Derrick. Let everybody know where they can find more of your work and anything else you want to throw out there.
Yeah, well, the most important thing is to be peaceful, and it will have reverberations in the world. And so I produce a daily podcast, which is a summary of the world of peaceful resistance. I've been following Bradley Manning closely at peacenewsnow.com. You can check out our YouTube page. We also have a live show twice a week. So that's peacenewsnow.com. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Derrick. Talk to you soon.
Peace.
That was Derrick J. Freeman, Peace News Now. Check him out. And as I said, check out his work at the Victimless Crime Spree. It's a documentary DVD that he has out that you can pick up showing how he got kicked out of the East Coast for doing too much civil disobedience, victimless crimes. Now, I will say, though, that I do disagree with Derrick on the fact that he believes we've hit saturation with waking people up, so to speak. I think that I look around and I still see a lot of people who seem unhappy and who seem to be ignorant of things going on in the world, but who want something more than just this mundane life that is led to be a worker bee in this giant collective. I see people who want freedom and who are trying to achieve it, and they don't recognize that it's right there in front of them. As Derrick said, all we have to do is just live free now. Live free now, and you can do that every day. You can choose to be free in your mind and your heart and in your immediate life, and help those around you be more free. And I think there is some merit to moving to geographic locations as far as discussing the Free State Project or Lone Star Libertopia in Austin, or coming to Houston and helping us get the Freethinker compound mansion going. There is merit to these things, but if everybody did these in all their areas, then we would have tons and tons of Free State projects, and then those pockets would grow while the statist pockets shrink and collapse. And then whenever people decide to stand up and speak truth like Bradley Manning has done, there will be no way that they can come take us, because they will not have the power of the guns. They will not have the power of the military. We will have the power of the people. People who decide, you know what, it doesn't matter if we 100% agree on everything. We're going to choose to work together. We're going to come together and form an alliance that's based on freedom, that's based on truth, respect, mutual aid, and voluntary interaction. These things are possible, and people like Bradley Manning, Edward Snowden, Adam Kokesh, we are making these things happen. So thank you guys for joining us today. It's been fun. We're going to try to do this more often. You can find all our videos at our YouTube channel, youtube.com/HoustonFreethinkers. Check us out at thehoustonfreethinkers.com. My website's The Conscious Resistance. Thank you guys. If you can hear this, you are the resistance.